They put me on all kinds of medications. There was something terribly wrong. What was terribly wrong is that my body was dying. I wasn't eating right. Um, I was in all, they had me on Xanax. They had me on every kind of tranquilizer you can possibly imagine. And on top of that, I was having colon issues. I had diverticulitis. I had prolapsed colon. I had Crohn's. They were labeling me with every medical condition you can possibly imagine. It was a nightmare, and yeah, man, just looking at that picture, I was in bad shape. When I look at that, I don't even know who that is. I was in bad shape. And the other thing about this is that when you have these free medical services and you're just at the mercy of whoever is going to take you in that ER when you're in horrible pain, that horrible pain was the meds they had me on. Plus, I didn't know anything about the health. I was vegan, but I wasn't eating the right vegan foods. They had me on prednisone. That was the prednisone time. They had me on tranquilizers. You name it, I was on there. I remember there was a time where I went to the ER, and in one day, I got a double dose of radiation from one hospital to another hospital because I ended up in the ER twice that day. One drugged me with a medication that I was having a reaction to. I got home and I couldn't breathe. I ended up having to call a taxi, and I was trying to call the hospital, and at the last, I was begging for help. Then they landed me at a different hospital, and those two hospitals weren't on the same system. So they fed me different medications.
Wow.
I was dying.
And what's the statistic for how many people that they even reveal this of the people that are murdered or killed or die under the care in the medical in hospitals? And
this is what I have to say to that. Because I was on state assistance, I don't think they even care. I don't think that they really, it's like, you know what, you don't have a leg to stand on. I was at the mercy of doctors. I was at the mercy of whatever they were prescribing because I didn't want that pain. I was bleeding out of my rectum. Like when I say I was bleeding out of my rectum like a woman on a period. I had to wear pads for that.
Wow.
It was bad. I had to watch what I was eating, and I still didn't connect the dots. During that entire time, no one was talking to me about change your diet. You need to eat this instead of that. It was just you have either Crohn's, diverticulitis, you have every diagnosis you could imagine. They were going to remove my colon. The last straw for me came when I ended up back in the ER, and a taxi dropped me off. I walked in and I dropped to the floor. I dropped to the floor in the middle of the ER, and I looked like I was a drug addict. It was bad. I looked like I was as homeless, just like a drug addict. And I remember I was coming in and out of consciousness. The pain was that severe. It was like I was giving birth. Something was happening to me. I was sick. I remember looking up, reaching out my arms, and begging anybody to help me. About an hour later or so, a nurse came by and they finally put me into a wheelchair. Now, in my head, I told myself, if I ever survive this, if I survive tonight, I will never step foot in the hospital again. That was that moment. That was it. I was done. I was done. It was either I'd rather die or I'm going to make it through. I'm going to survive this, and I'm going to share my story. I'm going to survive this. I'm going to survive this. There's got to be a better way. And that's where my journey began. It was that night in that hospital where I went, never again. I'm not doing this. That picture right there that you're showing, that night, that's when it happened. I told myself, never again. I'm not doing this. And I was done. Wow. So how was I done? I didn't know, but it wasn't going to be through the hospital.
You had made that decision that whatever's going to happen is not going to be through this.
I wasn't going to play their game anymore.
How long ago was this? About?
Oh gosh, that was how many years ago? I think that was in 2000. I want to say 2000 and I want to say that was 2016 when that happened.
Okay.
2016 when that took place.
Yeah.
And then I don't even, man, I was in bad shape.
So when did you, so you get somehow you survive, you get out of there, and then how do you get to learn about the Mucusless diet and sort of what's your path to actually finding out about that information?
I got on Facebook. I remember that I was typing up help on Facebook, help for Crohn's, help for diverticulitis. That led me to a gal that is in England. And she had an entire website devoted to health.
Mm-hmm.
Well, something just wasn't, she helped, but something was not resonating. It just didn't feel right. So I then went on YouTube and I started typing in healing, keyword healing. I started typing in health and healing, and that's where I went down the rabbit hole. I saw Dr. Arnold Ehret, Professor Ehret, I saw Dr. Robert Morse. I saw Master Fast System, and I watched videos. And that was that. Those were the three. So then I hone in on the lymphatic system, and I hone in on Arnold Ehret, Professor Ehret's work. It's sort of like reading the Bible. I felt like I wanted to know who Jesus was at that moment. I was all about, I can't stop reading this. I wanted to read that Bible. And I kept reading and reading and reading. And it went, this resonates all the way. This is it. I felt it. And I know that there are many other people out there that are going to agree with that statement. It just resonates.